Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm just getting things queued up here. I hope that you enjoyed those smooth sounds by Caleb Kelson. Oh, gosh. Isn't it true? Like adjusting your body sometimes is just super noisy. So I hope that everyone had a good week this week. So when I'm not doing this, I'm actually in a space where I'm mostly not doing this. I work in public higher education, and the semester is starting 1 week from today. So it's a busy time for me, that's for sure. I'm sorry. This is so silly. I'm trying to figure out where to put my water bottle. Because it turns out I'm a really terrible housekeeper. And so my desk is super messy. So for this session of GraysMatter podcast, I am sleepy, but super excited because for the first time ever, the audio was recorded on 2 tracks instead of 1. So I've got both of the files open for Justin and Nat, and I'm gonna open up a multi-track session. So, and I was thinking about this the other day. I don't think that I've ever actually said what it is that I'm using. So I'm using Adobe Audition for Windows. So it does look a little bit different from what you would use, from what the Mac Adobe Audition looks like. So I'm going to open up a multi-track session, and I'm going to make sure that it's saved to the correct podcast folder. And I'm just going to say episode 5. Edited. Just nice and simple, how it rolls. Now, one thing that I noticed was interesting is that Justin's is longer than this. So when these files are done converting, the first thing I will obviously try to suss out is what's going down in those 2 minutes, right? Like because it might just be Justin. He usually gives like a pre-recording spiel just to make sure that everybody is ready to go. Even though Nat is a regular co-host, so they know what's up. So based on mostly nothing, that is my guess for why there's that 2-minute difference. So I guess we will see. And I guess while we're waiting and to fill up the empty space, and so you can learn a little bit more about me, you might be wondering why I do these lives super early in the morning. Because it's Saturday, and who doesn't want to sleep in on a Saturday morning? But I have 3 kids, which now them I have mentioned because they're early. A couple of them, at least right now, are early risers. And so I'll often turn my camera off when they come up just to protect their privacy. But my middle child is 6 years old, and she was recently diagnosed with autism. And one of the things that really helps her a lot is going to occupational therapy. But the slot that we were able to get is 8 a.m. on Saturday mornings. And I really needed like an extra incentive to get out of bed. And apparently the hack that works for my brain is to be accountable to a bunch of strangers on the internet to actually get myself out of bed and moving and grooving in the morning. So, there, yeah, you could choose to use that as a judgment. Judge me, be like, oh, I can't believe it. What a bad mom. Or, if you have other, I think I might be neurodiverse hacks to help you get your things done. Yeah, you could let me know in the comments too. That would be super awesome. Oh, water. It really is the good stuff. Oh, excuse me. All right. Wow, man, look at that. We're almost there. Oh, you know what? I think there we go. I had gotten some awesome feedback the other day from Sam. So, hi, Sam. Saying that he preferred this screen setup. And honestly, it doesn't make any difference to me. So, I think this will make it a little bit easier for you to see, right, like what I'm up to. So, boom. There we go. So, let's just... now, the other thing I'll say is I didn't realize last week that you couldn't hear the audio from audition itself. And I had no idea. So I apologize for that. And hopefully you should be able to hear it today. So let's just get this rolling and I'll be taking a look over to see, if the sound is actually playing. So here we go. Come on. You're fine.
Recording. All right, cool.
Oh.
Hello, my pronouns are they, them.
Hold on.
I'm doing okay. The weather has been very, very good lately.
All right.
Okay. I think we've got it. So here's my guess. I'm guessing that right here is where we actually get started. So let's find out.
I get that. But as 2 tracks, now it can be cut out without, interrupting other audio. Yeah.
Recording.
Okay, not quite.
Well, why don't we do that then? All right. 3, 2, 1, recording.
Recording. All right, cool.
Good afternoon, and welcome to another
All right. There we go.
episode of GraysMatter podcast. A podcast.
All right. So, again, I'm just using hotkeys. So I use T to switch over to that time selection tool. And I'm just going to highlight both of the tracks. Delete that. Use the hotkey V to go back to our move tool. I'm just going to click that right on up to the beginning there.
Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of GraysMatter podcast. A podcast where we talk about things and stuff.
Yeah.
Today's co-host is Nat.
Hello, my pronouns are they, them.
Okay. So, with the multi-track, I'm going to be highlighting Nat's, kind of that whole portion of Nat's beginning. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to go down to silence time selection and selected clips, right? Because Nat's doing a little like boop, boop, boop drumming on their mic. And I just want to show you kind of the result of that.
Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of GraysMatter podcast, a podcast where we talk about things
See, look
and
at that.
stuff.
It's like magic.
Today's co-host is Nat.
Hello, my pronouns are they, them.
How you doing today, Nat?
I'm doing okay.
All right, so we're gonna, again with the silencing. Now,
How you doing today, Nat?
all right. We're just
How you doing today, Nat?
I'm doing okay. The weather has been very, very good lately, if a little wet. So I've been having my windows open nonstop for like the past week, which is very, very nice.
Oh, that is lovely. We had a couple of storms here earlier in the week.
just
That was
silence
just
that.
too dang hot, or at least too dang hot for me.
That means it's going to be too dang hot here in like 2 days. That's usually how it goes. That means it's going to be...
Okay, there we go. Now I'm actually this one. All right, so you always kind of have a decision, like, am I going to delete it or am I just going to silence the audio? And if you're talking, especially with Grace, because the show is definitely on the long side already, right, like I'm just going to cut it out instead of use that silencing tool. But, right, like that kind of is your decision.
Too dang hot.
that means it's going to be too dang hot here in like 2 days. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, you do get our weather a couple days after.
We do.
All right, so I'm just actually gonna like delete out a tiny little bit of audio, just to line it up with the dialogue a little bit more here.
Yeah,
Let's see. I need to go back a little bit more.
2 days. That's usually how it goes.
yeah, you do get
There
our
we go. I
weather
like
a couple
that.
days after.
We do. And 10 degrees hotter.
All right, and we've got a little lip smack there. We can just boop.
After.
We do. And 10 degrees hotter usually too. So that's fun.
So I gotta be honest, I always feel a little weird, for lack of a better word, editing out lip smacks, because as a person with braces, like just in my regular speaking, I end up doing a lot of lip smacking because I've got these giant hunks of metal on my teeth. But I also know it's, as a person who listens to podcasts, it's pretty distracting when you're
We
listening.
do. And 10 degrees hotter usually too. So that's fun.
Yeah, it's picking up all that heat from the Great Lakes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just further south.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Chicago's 10 degrees warmer.
Here we go. I'm just gonna. That's gone. I'll probably be doing a bunch of silencing here coming up. That's my guess.
That's true.
Chicago's 10 degrees warmer than the Twin Cities, and apparently St. Louis is about 10 degrees warmer than Chicago, according to my friends who live in St. Louis.
That checks out.
Okay, so I'm just gonna silence the whole thing. And then right here, was that little mic bump. Let's see.
In Chicago, according to my friends who live in St. Louis.
That checks out.
I feel like there's maybe just a little bit too much space. right there, actually. So let's just take a listen. How does it sound with that cut out?
According to my friends who live in St. Louis.
That checks out. They talk about the heat in the. They talk about the. They talk about the heat.
Okay.
In St. Louis.
That checks out. They talk about the heat in.
Okay. I'm just going to add in like a beat there then.
My friends who live in St. Louis.
That checks out. They talk about the heat in the.
I like how that sounds much better.
And
are those set in St. Louis? I haven't.
Let's see.
heat in the Anita Blake books. And
are those set in St. Louis? I haven't.
They are set in St. Louis, Missouri.
Huh.
Oh, okay.
So whenever I read them, part of my brain, whenever it's the summertime, I'm going, yeah, that makes sense. St. Louis, Missouri, hot, humid.
Yeah.
And then it's wintertime. And I go, oh, right. Missouri is far enough north to get a winter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they get kind of a winter. Like,
Yeah.
They don't really get a lot. Like, even, like, I mean, obviously.
Here. Can you just silence all of this? Because, I mean, right, like we just learned at the beginning of this live session, moving your body sometimes is just loud enough to be distracting. So,
like,
yeah.
They don't really get a lot. Like, even, like, I mean, obviously global warming has made it less of a winter, but, like, even back then it was like they didn't get much snow. It was mostly just ice.
Yeah.
According to my coworker.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, my dad finished his doctoral degree. I grew up in Utah, and then he got a job with the federal government. And so we moved to Virginia. So, like, a lot of what Dad is saying with, like, the kind of a winter and there's a lot of ice. Oh, man, that's taking me back to, like, the difference between what they would consider to be a winter in northern Utah and what they would consider to be a winter in Virginia. Without it.
They didn't get much snow. It was mostly just ice.
Yeah.
According to my coworkers, half my team is in St. Louis, so.
Oh.
Yeah. Which means that I was at this whole telework thing. I've been doing it for the entire time I've been working there.
No, I follow you. My team.
I'm getting the feeling that my keyboard might need new batteries.
Yeah. Which means that we're real pros.
It's kind of it's responding, but also kind of it's not. But I'm a little lazy and I'm not going to get up and do that right this second.
Oh.
Yeah. Which means that we're real pros at this whole telework thing. I've been doing it for the entire time I've been working there.
No, I follow you. My team, my former team, now that I'm not working there anymore,
Woo-woo.
half of us were in Dubuque, Iowa. One of us is in North Carolina. And then there's me up here in the Twin Cities.
Oh, wow.
And then the rest of our group, well, most of them were in Dubuque. We also had somebody in Texas.
So yeah, you just want to make sure you're capturing like kind of the whole and not anything extra.
Dubuque. We also had somebody in Texas. And
Okay, so I feel like that might benefit from a little bit of a fade in. So let's just take a listen.
well, most of them were in Dubuque. We also had somebody in Texas. And one other person.
be like a little more.
Somebody in Texas.
Yeah, I
and,
like that a lot
one other
more.
person in another state, and I can't think of where right now. But yeah, which made it even more annoying that they wanted us to go back into the office when we.
Oh, I mean, right. I'm not loving all of this back to the office talk. That's for sure.
Back into the office when we don't even work in the same state. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that
want
doesn't
you to
make a lick of
collaborate.
sense.
I'm gonna delete a little, but then I'm also gonna just like a little nugget.
Date. Yeah, we
that
want
doesn't
you to
make a lick of
collaborate.
sense.
Well, collaborate with whom? Thank you. We don't, see each other ever.
Okay. So I think in this case, I'm kind of treating you, as a filler word that maybe we don't need right this minute. So I'm noticing like a couple of seconds up ahead that maybe my net has another little mic bump mixed in with the dialogue. So let's just see how that
We
sounds.
don't see each other ever.
I mean, it's physically impossible for you to be in the same office.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think a Nat's track, we're just going to have to leave it. Yeah, that's just the way I roll sometimes. And you'll notice I kind of switch back and forth between using hotkeys and just like clicking with my mouse, and it just works for my brain. That's really all that is.
For you to be in the same office.
There's no other reason for it.
Exactly. But it's a moot point now because they lost a lot of employees for that, and so they reversed their decision.
Yeah, I bet that they did. I'll be totally honest. One of the reasons that like I personally am in the midst of this career pivot is to have a little bit more control over my location and my time.
They lost a lot of employees for that,
Yeah.
and so they reversed their decision.
And are we allowed to talk about it? Aren't you getting a new position soon anyway?
Yes, I start my new job tomorrow, so I'm not with the
Congratulations!
old company anymore, and I'm glad to be out. One of my last things.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, that's for sure. Justin had a pretty long job search, so I am personally just super excited for him.
Old company anymore, and I'm glad to be out. One of my last things that I did at my old job was to tell my team to talk about your pay because you're all being
Yeah. Which is, well, I'm cutting out the silence. There's this thing in the United States where employers will tell you that it's about your pay. And excuse my language, but they're full of shit. That's actually against federal law to tell your employees that. So if you do hear that from your employer, yeah, just call them, if it's safe for you to do so, just call them out on their nonsense, because that's really all that it is.
team to talk about your pay because you're all being underpaid. And then I told them what my starting pay was and what my ending pay was, and then what the cost of living here in the Twin Cities is in my specific county. And remind them that they're all being severely underpaid.
I learned this a few weeks ago. It turns out that MIT has actually developed like a really interactive tool for like determining your cost of living. And now, okay, now it's on my mind. I've got to pull it up for you guys because it's just really cool. I don't know. I'm just going to drop that link in the chat because I think you might like it. So there you go. Boom. Okay. Sorry. Bit of a data nerd.
And remind them that they're all being severely underpaid. I think I was
Very
making
nice.
as much as my supervisor was.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I think I was making as much as my supervisor was.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
Based
kitty.
off of...
Okay. But I'm still going to silence our little kitty pal. And I'm not sure why I'm laughing. Probably I'm just tired. I can do a little cut here.
as much as my supervisor was.
No kidding.
Yeah, based off of what former teammates told me that they were making.
Silence that, of course.
What former teammates told me that they were making. And the fact that they all are in Iowa. And how little our Iowa teams seem to be making.
Oh, that's not great. So, holy moly, it is chilly in my house this morning. You know, you sleep with your windows open.
And
it's great for
that our Iowa teams seem to be making. I think I was making as much as my supervisor.
I'm sure they justify it with the cost of living.
So we're just gonna honestly work ahead just like a little bit. Because of course, like you can see visually. Huh?
I think I was
Where
making
there's
as
dead
much
space.
as my supervisor.
I'm sure they justify it with the cost of living being lower in Iowa.
Yeah, I believe so. But, yeah. I'm like, you can't pay me enough to pay rent. Can't pay me enough. I'm like, you can't. Yeah. But
There we go. I think how does that sound? I'm a little nervous suddenly.
yeah, I believe so. But I'm like, you can't pay me enough to pay rent.
Okay, I'm gonna. Yeah, you know, I've always kind of held the belief that, oh, excuse me. Your pay shouldn't be based on the cost of living in the area that you live. It should be based on, you know, like in a traditional employment environment, it should be based on the value that you're bringing your company, regardless of where you live. That's just me. Crazy talk.
Yeah, I believe so. But I'm like, you can't pay me enough to pay rent, have transportation, and eat food at the same time. I gotta go.
Yeah, fuck them.
Too much. Nat could not agree
Food
more.
at the same time. I gotta go.
Yeah, fuck them.
So I'm gone, and I'm happier for it.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm trying to get one of my partners.
Go. All right.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm trying to get one of my partners to quit their job because they are also being drastically underpaid and also in
Just the whole section before we zoom back in.
I'm going to get one of my partners to quit their job because they are also being drastically underpaid, and also in the past couple years, like 75% of their team.
Let's see here. Boop, boop.
75%. Past couple years, like 75%.
Okay. Here we go. That's a nice, easy cut.
In the past couple years, like 75% of their team has quit, and no one has been hired to replace them. So now,
Oh dear.
yeah, so now my partner is the only member of 2 different teams, and it's like,
Well, that sounds familiar.
this company's just gonna fall apart. Like, it's being held together.
I've had that experience before too.
Yeah, that company is a sinking ship.
Yeah.
When you started saying my company,
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. So, I do this like every week. Get good gravy. I really should match loudness before I get going. Clicked on the wrong thing. And then I get really excited and I forget. I just dive right in, and then I go, hold on. I can't hear Nat at all. Like, they're very soft-spoken. But, of course, Justin's voice kind of comes in at a deeper register, so I don't really have any issue hearing him. So I'm just going to... one thing that you can do in Adobe Audition is to merge clips. And maybe more importantly, you can do it as many times as you want. Apparently, that's not a thing. Shoot. Here, let's see. Boom. In like Hindenburg, for example, I learned that when I did a live chat with global podcast editors. And I actually have another one coming up in a few weeks here. So that is, I'm looking at the date. So I'll make sure to talk about that a little bit more as it gets closer. But anyway, when I do match loudness, right, like I want the clips to be merged. And I think that's just a me thing. Yeah, just like psychologically, it makes me feel a little bit better. And boom, there we go. So now I'm just going to take this episode 5 edited file, and I'm going to drag it right on down to the match loudness settings. And this is just kind of part of my regular like dashboard that I use. So yeah, there it is. So I'm willing to have a much easier time hearing that. And it's a good thing because what they have to say is awesome. Even so, that is, I think, kind of a challenge of working in the field, right? Is that sorry, I'm trying to think of how to say this. Like if somebody hires you, right, and you don't necessarily love what they have to say, I mean, I guess my sense is that you still, like, if you took the job, you still kind of have a responsibility to do the job. But I think it also means that you have a responsibility to yourself to make sure that what you're working on is not like painful for you, or alternatively, it's going to do harm to the community, right? Like one of the first jobs that I took was a trial run with a show that talks about the role that propaganda plays in our lives. But the episode that I ended up editing was basically about 5 minutes of COVID-19 pandemic misinformation. So that felt super disgusting to me. All right, all done. But, I also learned from that experience. I'm going to do my diligence just a little bit more. Got some verbal overlap. Let's see what we can do about that.
I think I was making as much as my supervisor.
I'm sure they justify it with the cost of living being lower.
Way better.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes.
But, you can't pay me enough to pay rent, have transportation, and eat food at the same time. I gotta go.
Yeah, fuck them.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm gone, and I'm happier for it.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm trying to get one of my partners to quit their job because they are also being drastically underpaid, and also in the past couple years, 75% of their team has quit and no one has been hired to replace them. So now,
oh dear.
Yeah, so now my partner is the only member of 2 different teams, and it's like,
I mean, I know I already said this, but
fall apart.
It's all
being
I
held
can
together
say.
by shoestrings right now. You need to get out.
Yeah, that company is a sinking ship.
Yeah.
When you started saying my partner, I've been encouraging my partner to get another job. I was picturing the partner who was a law enforcement officer first.
No,
until you
well,
finished
he
that
hasn't
sentence.
Yeah, no. He hasn't been working because of an injury, so he's just been chilling at
dear.
home collecting that sweet, sweet injury pay.
Oh,
Well, I'm
poor
glad.
dude. But also, thank goodness for injury pay.
Injury pay.
Okay. So can we get rid? We might not be able to get rid of that, but let's just give it a try.
Injury pay.
Okay. I think maybe yes. Then we'll just do a little fade. So see how it sounds without the fade?
I'm collecting that sweet, sweet injury pay.
Okay. Yep.
I'm that sweet, sweet injury pay.
I like that a lot
I'm glad
more.
he's getting the injury pay. I'm sorry he got injured, and I hope he heals well.
He's healing very, very.
Let's see. So I'm going to silence that, but then I'm also, my opinion is that this gap is just like a very little bit too long. So I'm going to cut that out just a little bit.
And I hope he heals well.
He's healing very, very well.
There we go.
It's one of those things where, like, if it was an office job,
Let's see.
if it was an off if you
There we go. We're just going to get rid of that buffer time a little bit.
it's one of those things where, like, if it was an office job, it wouldn't matter. But because it's a job that in theory has like physical demands, then can't do anything about that.
Little lip smacking there. Okay. Huh. Okay. Just going a little nuts, and getting rid of that dead space. No. Sometimes you're just feeling a little risky, you know?
has like physical demands, then can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
But hey, we're seeing if maybe there's a non-zero chance he might be put on permanent disability, and this is wild, like if he gets permanent disability from the force, that does not prevent him from getting a new job elsewhere. So he could just have another job and then still be getting the disability payments from the force. So like that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah. Get yourself set, especially with how tragically underpaid we all are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you're a CEO or something.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear? Here in...
Okay, so, whoa. So I'm curious what was heard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you're a CEO or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, oops. Let's... Okay. Shoot. I feel like that... Okay, so actually I want to just real quickly here talk about what I just did before I re-silence. So how I have my toolbar, set up is that like you can see all of the actions that I take down here on the bottom left. Now, if you want to do something, you can just like click up to where you took the action rather than going up here and undo. That's something that definitely will speed things along for you. It also encourages you to maybe pay a little bit more attention to what you're doing so that you make the right decision. So let's see here.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear? Here in the Twin Cities, here in Minneapolis specifically, they were sued and told that they had to hire more police officers.
Huh. Well, that's interesting.
The Twin Cities, here in Minneapolis specifically, they were sued and told that they had to hire more police officers.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. That's interesting. So another show that I work on recently did like a 3-part series with police chiefs in the county that I live in. And actually, what the heck? I'll just throw that in the chat there too. One of the things that they were talking about was the difficulty in hiring folks. Here, just dropping that link here in the chat. Oh no, wrong link. Sorry, guys. You're talking about like paying attention. So I don't know if that's a lawsuit that would actually work out real well.
What?
Oh, we're gonna.
And told that they had to hire more police officers.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
All All right, so there's just a few little like mouse clicks in there, so we're just gonna get rid of those too. Bop things.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Hold on.
Who was the plaintiff in the suit?
I don't know. Let me see here. The Minnesota Supreme Court rules Minneapolis mayor failed to hire more. The Minnesota Supreme Court rules Minneapolis mayor failed to hire more police. So this was last month when this happened, and yet my brain decided to only hold on to the fact that they lost a case in the Supreme Court and need to hire more people.
Well, good luck to them.
The Mayor Frey, who sucks as mayor, but whatever, has a clear legal duty under the city's charter to staff the department with at least 731 sworn officers. Now, this number is based off of the population of Minneapolis.
Okay. Huh. Sorry, y'all. It is like super loud outside, and I'm not sure what I'm hearing. Might just be a truck. Well, I guess I'll find out later.
Now, this number is based off of the population of Minneapolis. And the city has about 300 fewer officers than it did before George Floyd was murdered. And the city's former police chief, that would have been Chief Arendano, attributed departures to retirements and officers who filed disability claims. Some citing symptoms of PTSD linked to protests over Floyd's protests over.
We're just gonna cut that right the heck out.
Whatever.
And here and here, and there's a couple of mic hits, so I'm just I'm gonna silence initially, and we'll see how we feel about that gap when we get to it in a few seconds. Excuse me. Actually, that's kind of a long bit of dead space there too. So there we go.
Some citing symptoms of PTSD linked to protests over Floyd's killing. Whatever. Here we go. 8 residents concerned about 8 residents.
Okay, so now we can just, I feel like all of that can just be gone. And that'll be nice. And I'm noticing that while Justin is talking, Nat has kind of just a ton of mic hits. So I'm just going to actually go ahead and silence that whole time selection. But then I'm also going to, let's see, without having even listened to it, I'm also going to just do a little cleanup work here. We'll zoom back in and just see how it sounds.
PTSD linked to protests over Floyd's killing. Whatever. 8 residents concerned about crime sought the court order to force the city to hire more police as required by the charter. The state Supreme Court heard arguments earlier this month from them that the current staffing is about 120 officers less than they believed was required.
Oh, okay, so it's like...
God. Okay. Okay, well, now I'm hearing a noise from inside the house. might have to turn my camera off here in a second. We'll see if I've got a kiddo that comes on up the stairs here.
Than they believed was required.
Oh, okay. So it's like there's like a statutory requirement that the department have a certain.
Hey, honey.
Slept
There.
last night.
Excuse me for just a minute here, everyone.
Officer
Like I
to
said, I've got a
citizen
bunch of
ratio.
early
Am I
risers.
understanding that correctly then?
Yes.
Oh,
And I did see that
okay.
number last month. And I don't know what it is. Let me pull that up right quick.
Sorry, everyone. Oh, kids. They are wonderful. Okay, come on. There we go.
And I did see that
okay.
number last month. And I don't know what it is. Let me pull that up right quick. Let's see, Minneapolis police ratio. Maybe that will. Police to population ratio.
Yeah, regarding the bit about.
Okay, let's see.
Don't know what it is. Let me pull that up right quick.
So,
It is. Let me pull that up.
here's what I'm going to do. Just bring down a marker where Justin said he was going to pull it up real quick.
Let me pull that up right.
See how that ends up kind of working out in the flow of conversation here.
I see that
okay.
number last month, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, regarding the bit about PTSD related to protests, I 100% believe that some officers might have finally felt some amount of a moral crisis when faced with the real consequences. And we're like, oh, maybe are we the baddies? Like, I 100% believe that at least a few officers did have that moment of realization.
I
Yeah,
hope so, too.
probably they did. I hope so.
This is correct, because I'm at the moment. But it says that, and then an ad popped up in a lot. According to the order, the city must fund a police force of at least 0.0017 employees per resident, which will equal around 730 sworn officers, or about 0.2% of the city's population, following the publication of the 2020 census. So,
I have to wonder.
0.2% of the population needs to have police,
I,
or needs
I
to be police.
wonder.
Mhm.
I wonder what the base, like how they came.
So we're gonna boop. We're gonna delete that. And then there was like kind of a lot of interrupting happening here. So we're just gonna do that. See how it
So,
sounds.
0.2% of the population needs to have police, or needs to be police.
Ah, shoot. Did it again. Let's just give that a shot.
Needs to have police, or needs to be police.
I wonder what the base, like how they came
There
to
we
that
go.
number. Like
Yes.
what was the rationale? What did they use any like now I'm very very curious to see if there was, if they just kind of like went off of vibes, or if they were using like studies based on, okay, well, which cities have the lowest crime and blah blah blah, or I don't know. It's really weird.
Well, I happen to have a CBS News article up, and it says here, University of Minnesota. Let me try it again. University of Minnesota sociology professor Michelle Phelps. She researches policing. She said, "There's not really a magic number. The way that it's benchmarked is often in terms of population." And
Ah, shoot. There we go.
that's pretty much it.
Okay.
All right. So we're just. And. Let's see.
The way that it's benchmarked is in terms of population. And that's pretty
Ah,
much
shoot.
it.
Okay. So they don't give any background for how that ratio was chosen.
Phelps says much more needs to be taken into account than simple population when determining police staffing levels. Crime matters, politics matter, how popular law enforcement is, she said. Phelps says cities also have to consider geography, or how concentrated a city is, as well as how many tourists come through.
I mean, yeah, it's a science, but it's still one that we're figuring out. There's no doubt about that. Now I did just get a notice from Restream that one of my streams, either to YouTube or to Twitch, is having some connection challenges. So I'm not sure which though. So I apologize if you are having some connection challenges there.
As well as how many tourists come through. So,
Hey, there's just a little bump right there.
Through. So, So yeah, I guess by feels.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
I remember hearing at one point.
Let's see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
I remember hearing at one point, and this may be something that I heard on Adam 12, so it might be information from the 60s, that LAPD had the fewest officers per population. Per.
Just gonna get rid of that. Yeah, I am going to stop in about 2 minutes just to wrap things up.
that LAPD had the
I'm a
fewest
little hungry.
officers per population. And so, they did a lot of time driving.
Well, and it's also LA.
Yeah. How does it sound? Boom. Come on. Good.
So, they did a lot of time.
Well, and it's also LA.
And it's also LA.
So that's going to lead to a lot of time driving. So.
Let's see here.
So LA.
And it's also LA.
So that's going to lead to a lot of time driving.
Yeah. And a lot of times sitting in traffic, from what I'm told. I've never been to LA. I'm just guessing here. Going off of what other people have said.
I'm trying to remember. No, I did not go. I have not been to LA. I did go to San Diego when I.
Yeah, I actually had a networking meeting earlier this week with somebody super awesome who lives in Los Angeles. They're like, yeah, there's a lot of driving. It's not for me, that's for sure.
A lot of times sitting in traffic, from what I'm told.
Also, the lack of water.
I've never been to LA. I'm just guessing.
Definitely a problem for a Minnesota lady like me.
Have said.
Oh, man, it's happened again.
Going off of what other people have said.
I'm trying to remember. No, I did not go. I have not been to LA. I did go to San Diego when I was a kid, though.
Never been to San Diego either. I have
don't
been to
remember
Sacramento.
a whole lot. Yeah. San Diego was all right. We weren't there for very long. We were.
All right. So now here we are, and I'm gonna drop a marker. Gonna once again merge these clips. So yeah, just while that is happening, I just want to thank my one Twitch pal for joining me for the last hour and a quarter. I hope that you found this to be helpful to your own process. And for folks who are watching afterwards, I hope that you also find it to be helpful for your processes. Now, at the very beginning, I have like a little slide up with like information about the musician who plays the music that you enjoy every Saturday morning when you, or maybe not Saturday morning, but right, like whenever you tune into one of these videos. And also myself, if you are looking for a podcast editor, but also for Justin. Justin is a really talented content creator who's been doing this for years. Really both of us without much in the way of compensation. So like we would really, honestly, we would appreciate your support a lot. If you're able to give it. Now I think one thing that I've been a little bit on the fence about is that next week, all right, so that's been saved. Then that is exciting. Woo-hoo-hoo. Is that I'm not going to be available on Saturday morning. So I think I'm probably going to be doing this live session next Friday morning, August. So, if you want to pencil that into your schedules, like I would be more than happy. Like I'd be so glad to see you. So right, you can kind of dive in on that. And sorry, I feel like I'm like looking all over the place when like camera's right there. So until next week, I am Rachel with Rachel Edits. And I hope that you have a great week, and we will see you on Friday. Bye.